the end, one of us became a waiter at a restaurant, the other one to the Jewish Times, and became a graphic designer. And in the meantime, we did these black drawings. And we just slowly, every night, we just worked on these drawings. And but what became of them in the end was, for us, was a kind of failed cinema, because what they lacked was depth, sound, music. And so in a way, they were the next step towards cinema, towards leaving Philadelphia, going to England, going to Amsterdam, leaving the graphic design world, and going towards the cinema.
So
it literally was a stopgap.
Wonderful. So as you moved into cinema and three-dimensionality and objects and puppets and sound.
But you have to remember that was purely an accident. I mean, we left Philadelphia to go to England en route to Amsterdam to become illustrators in Amsterdam. By stopping in London, Quay Brothers, our producer, said, "Why don't you propose a script for an experimental film for the BFI, British Film Institute?" We did. We left for Amsterdam, stayed 6 months. He whistled. He said, "You got the grant." Then we became filmmakers. But it was our first. I mean, the idea was that he said, "Propose an experimental film," and we said, "Well, we don't do experimental films." And then he said, "Well, propose something anyway." And that's when because we'd seen a few puppet films, and we said, "Well, we'll do a puppet film." But it was sheer bluff. It was sheer bluff. And then he said, "That looks good. Write a script." We wrote one in 3 days. Left, went to Amsterdam. And then, as Timothy said, 6 months later, we got the grant, and then we suddenly said, "Oh my God, we don't know a thing about puppets." There were no manuals, no nothing. But it was good because the two of us, you could fail on your own. Nobody's looking. So we did a lot of bad mistakes. But we sort of found out. It was something where we both said it was something very tabletop. It was very intimate. We could work with just the two of us. We didn't need a crew. And I think that really appealed to us. And if you failed, no one would know. Yeah.
It sounds like this idea of the two of you working together as opposed to an atelier of assistants. Isn't that, you prefer to work together. And yet there are some collaborations in the exhibition, meaning dance or theater and so forth. Tell us a little bit about these collaborations. How do they come about, and how do you develop the idea?
Well, I think at the beginning, I mean, all the early puppet films up until, say, Crocodiles were all done, just the two of us trying to carve out a knowledge of the métier of puppets and trying to secure that realm and do it well. And I remember the first night that when we premiered Crocodiles, we got a telephone call the next morning saying, somebody must have been in the audience that night, and they said, "Would you work on a pop promo?" And we kind of went, "Oh God, it's come to this." Because we thought that we'd done the best thing in our life, and then all that we got out of it was a pop promo, but it was to do Sledgehammer, to work on Sledgehammer. So, I mean, we worked with Arden on that, and it was it was a nice collaboration, but I don't think it was something that we felt particularly that we wanted to make a run at for the rest of our life. What was the question? Collaboration. Collaboration. So that was the first time we were under fire, because I remember on the first day with Peter Gabriel, they said, "Oh, it's your scene. This is your guy's scene," and it was putting a train track around his head. And we'd never animated in our life in front of another person other than each other. There were all these people standing around. We just looked, and they looked at us. We looked back. And then somebody looked at their watch. We suddenly realized we have to get going on this. But I think that what happened was that a theater director had seen some of the animation work, and he said, "Would you work on the theater design?" And we said, "We've never done it." He said, "Don't worry. Pretend you're building a puppet set, and I'll take care of the rest." And this was Richard Jones, and it was the best sort of provocation that we had. So we worked with a theater piece and then a couple of operas with him. And in a sense, it opened up
that the realm of our models, which are normally like this.
Are these, as we see in the so-called
Exactly.
dormitory?
So a theater set is normally 1 to 24 scale, or sometimes 1 to 15, depending how much you want, how much detail you want to put in it. And then we realized that it wasn't such a big leap now to. I mean, we worked with other people, with costume people, and then you suddenly see one of your sets peopled by a chorus of 80, like on Lizette or something like that, and you suddenly realize it's not so forbidding. And I think that's what, that experience working in the theater then permitted us to think about a live action feature. So that Benimento was a film where we said, well, we'll choose our team. We wouldn't let the producer assign us anybody. So we handpicked our whole team, and that's how. And then since that experience really calmed us down. But it was very forbidding.
Ron, do you want to speak a little bit about the film component of this exhibition? You walked us through the gallery, but much of the experience is going to take place in one of the theaters at MoMA as well. How did you and the Brothers Quay come about designing the film series?
Well, I can take credit or blame for the notion of showing so much moving image in the gallery, and for showing it in a way that it makes it impossible for anyone to take it all in a single visit unless they spend the whole day here. There are, in a sense, as I said, a Quay multiplex at the end, a series of screening spaces. Some of the films people will have seen on DVD and may want to pass by. Crocodiles gave its own space because if anyone stays for any one film and is not familiar with the Quay's work, I'm hoping they'll stay for that. For instance, dance, that notion, and the early films, putting that much moving into the gallery, that was my contribution to when we first started speaking. But we also always want to provide our museum visitors with the choice of seeing the films in their original theatrical setting in a theater. So we are running all the Quay films, including some that are not in the gallery, in a series that begins Thursday with the museum's newly created print of Institute Benimento. We improved on the celebrated Blu-ray. We've